Hello everybody and welcome back to the Turbo Makes Games YouTube channel. I'm once again joined by Matthew of Logic Projects. What's going on, Matthew? How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I think we're both making great progress.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. So yeah, welcome in everybody. Real quick, I think we can just go ahead and maybe just do a quick little recap about what we're doing in general, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit more of the specific things of what we've been working on. So of course, this weekend is the LudumDare Game Jam. So Matthew and I thought it would be kind of a fun idea to sort of compare the different game engines that we use. I typically use Unity's Entity Component System, which is part of their data-oriented technology stack. And Matthew uses the Bevy game engine, which is built off of the Rust programming language. And we thought, yeah, it would be a cool idea to use this LudumDare as a fun excuse to do a little friendly competition to basically create the same game during the course of the jam, but I'll be using the Unity engine, he'll be using the Bevy engine, and yeah, so that's kind of the general overview so far. And then I guess we can kind of talk a little bit about like the game that we're making. We did kind of a whole stream yesterday where we were kind of brainstorming some ideas for the game and all that. So the theme for LudumDare this event is delivery, and then so we kind of came up with the idea to create a Vampire Survivors clone based around delivering pizzas. So we can kind of talk about some of the ideas of some things that we're creating with that. But you had kind of messaged me last night that said that you were kind of doing a little bit of a different take on the theme. So what's kind of your idea for that?
So I was, when I started writing code, I'm like, how am I going to do all the different upgrades? And I actually got to play Vampire Survivor last night. And so the upgrades in that game were you getting different weapons and stuff. So I'm like, okay, what if you get different kinds of food you're delivering? And then I'm like, okay. And also I liked in Vampire Survivor, like different hordes or waves of enemies would come by. Like there's a swarm of bats and you get surrounded by plants at one point. And so I wanted to do like a college campus where every once in a while, like, a classroom of freshmen will get out and charge you, and, like a sorority will come by and professors will surround you. And then you'll be giving out different kinds of food. So like, tacos, pizzas, and that would be the different kinds of attacks.
Yeah, no, it sounds fun. And then, I think I'm kind of sticking with more of the kind of initial like pizza theme that we're kind of talking about. I haven't really figured out anything super interesting that I want to do for the enemies quite yet. I suppose that'll just kind of come with time, but that's more of kind of like an aesthetic thing. I feel like, but yeah. So I'm kind of doing
zombies.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'm kind of doing the thing where you're a pizza delivery guy, and then basically all the kind of different attacks are pizza themed. So maybe you're shooting out little sausages, or there's like some pepperonis that fly onto the map. I think for the classic Vampire Survivors whip ability, I'm going to be doing like a cheese whip.
Oh, nice. Okay, so the pizza delivery isn't the attack. It's your character is themed to be a pizza boy.
It's everything's just all kind of pizza themed.
Yeah.
Like so, like the guy's a pizza delivery guy, but all the attacks are pizza themed.
Sure.
And yeah, we got Wayne Games in the chat. What's going on? Hi. You can add different toppings for different upgrades. Yeah, so I think what I'm want to kind of do is like each of the different toppings are kind of like the like base attack, and then you can like upgrade those. So like rather than just like having like one sausage get thrown out, like multiple sausages get thrown out, kind of thing. As you progress in the game.
That's kind of what I'm going to do is as you level up like your tacos, you'll be, throwing out more tacos and, So
Put
I think
some
that's cool.
extra spicy sauce on the tacos and
yeah. We'll have the same game like logic wise, but our art will be significantly different.
Yeah. So sounds fun. Well, yeah, so I guess this is kind of our little check-in stream to just kind of talk about our progress so far. So what kinds of things have you been able to implement so far?
So I've been sending out a lot of videos onto your Discord server and your Game Jams channel.
Yeah. Go check that out if you want to go do that. Let me go ahead and just drop the link to the Discord in the chat here.
Yeah. I give you the marketing.
Thank you much for that.
But yeah, I've got the core like player moving around. I have the camera following them. I have enemies that move toward you. The whip hits periodically. Enemies randomly drop experience, and if you get in range, the experience orbs will chase you down. And right now I have it set when you level up, it stops all the gameplay systems. And I'm working on making it give you the pop-up UI box.
Okay, so it kind of pauses the, yeah.
Yeah, I've been in the UI nightmare realm for the past, hour.
Nice. Do you have anything that you can actually share? I think if you share your screen, that should be able to show up correctly with the way that I have this set up here.
You mean like code?
Like more gameplay stuff. Or is it like in the middle? It's not gonna compile right now, or?
Give me 1 second just to get a screen ready to share.
Yeah.
But then also, okay, this should be fine. So, right now I have a UI box that I'm.
Oh, we lost him. You see me twice. Whoa.
Am I back?
I hear you, but I see myself.
Well, Discord crashed. You can just show my demos off of your Discord server.
Yeah. I will pull them up.
Yours is more stable.
Yeah.
That's the second time Discord's crashed for me in the past 10 minutes, so I won't push it anymore.
So let's see here. So I'll just kind of scroll through all your things so far. We can just kind of go through your progression a little bit. So if I do this, we'll be here. Okay. So this is kind of your first one that you showcased, where you're basically kind of moving the player around. You have some basic physics interactions in place. Looks like you were able to kind of push the enemies around at one point. This is just kind of, again, what was the physics engine that you were using?
It's called Rapier, like the sword.
Nice.
So,
we have
so those are just dynamic, rigid bodies. It's very standard gameplay stuff. Yeah.
And then, so after that, you kind of did a little bit of the enemy movement logic. So you got that in pretty quickly, where basically they're just kind of following the player around and just kind of like a standard, follow movement pattern.
Yeah,
Nothing too crazy or anything about that, but yeah. They just
move toward the player, and physics resolves the circles out to make them clump a little bit.
Yeah. All right, and then your next one is where you actually started to implement kind of the whip ability. So you have there's kind of this blue line here that will basically kind of periodically flash, and then that looks like it kind of damages the enemies who are within that collision radius. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's just a normal physics shape cast. Yeah.
Yep, and then you can see that some of the enemies, they turn pink when they get damaged here. So we were actually applying some damage to that. How are you doing the damage? Is it kind of like you have like a hit points type system going on, and like an attack is worth a certain amount of hit points? Is that kind of how you have it?
Yeah, so for now, when it first appears on the first frame, I do a fixed amount of damage. But the enemies, when they touch the player, do damage over time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple more of mine that we'll get into in a moment, and then here is another one that you have.
Yes. Of when you kill the enemies.
Oh yeah. So we have the little white things that are kind of dropping. Yeah, those are the experience points. And this video right now, it looks like they're just kind of following to the player, but you're not actually picking them up quite yet. But I think you did get that in the next spot, right?
Yeah.
So we'll move over to the next one. Oh, actually, yeah, here's kind of your, you got a little bit of gameplay going on. So we have quite a bit of enemies. I do see that the camera is following the player around now, right?
Yeah, it's hard to tell with no background. But
yeah, it kind of, the first time I watched it, it kind of took me a sec. But yeah, then I kind of figured out what was going on there. And then, yeah, you'll see that you also have up at the top kind of the experience bar, where as you pick up those experience points, that experience bar starts to fill up. So we got, kind of the basics of the game in here right here, right?
Yep. And so the only thing I've added since then is now when the bar fills up, I have to pause all the systems and swap over to a level up state, where we're going to give you the menu to pick out what abilities to choose.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone on chat has any questions on Matthew's game so far, feel free to drop them down in there. But yeah, I mean, how's kind of your development experience been so far? Has it been, you feel like it's been going pretty smooth? Running into any major hiccups or anything?
So not major hiccups. I hate the way Bevy does UI, and I'm pretty vocal about that. But it's just hard. Like, so the health bar that follows the player around, when you resize the screen, that health bar is just not like actually in world space. It's all in screen space. So just like drift a little bit away from the player, and that drives me crazy. So I fought with that for a long time, and then realized I'd have to make my own buttons. And so I decided just to turn off the ability to resize the game. And I've given up on supporting every screen resolution right now.
Fair.
If you're not 16 by 9, you can't play.
There you go. So I guess, and then what are kind of like some of your next steps? You kind of mentioned that you're working on kind of your upgrade system next. What other kinds of things are you going to be looking into next?
So yeah, that's the overhaul. It's now that I have the gameplay like core down, I need to make it where I can swap between all the different like gameplay states. So like, I don't want enemies to be able to attack you when you're leveling up, and you shouldn't be able to move when you're leveling up.
Yeah. So just kind of getting a little bit more of that like overall game logic in, now that you kind of have some of like the gameplay, you kind of have like more of just like the, progression of the game, I guess.
Yeah, which actually is a question I have for you, because how do you turn on and off systems and dots like on a game state?
It's actually pretty easy. There is on each of the systems, there's just like a flag that you can enable or disable a system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so yeah,
because I hadn't seen that.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, there's actually a couple ways. You can like kind of manually do it by like, unchecking the box like within the editor, or you can of course set that bool just through the API. And then the other way is there's like an attribute that you can put above the system, or it says require matching queries for update. And then so basically, if there are any of your entity queries, if there are no entities that match those queries, then that system will basically disable itself.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Bevy we have like, I guess, constraints where you can say some systems only run if you're in the level up state or in the gameplay state.
Okay.
In the main menu. Yeah, they've added a lot of like scheduling of system stuff.
Nice. And yeah, by the way, someone asked in chat here, are you putting your code on GitHub at all now, or planning on doing so?
I can set that up as soon as we're off the stream. Yeah.
Nice.
I'll hit publish and I'll link it in your Discord server.
And I do have mine on GitHub here. Let me see if I can just pull that up real quick. And I'll just drop it in the chat for those who want to follow along. And probably a good idea to post it in the Discord as well. So yeah, I guess, is there anything else that you want to kind of mention on your project right now?
No, it's just, it's a very nice game for a game jam.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fun
every system so far has been very, like standard.
There's
There's nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like most of the stuff has been like pretty straightforward for me for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I guess we can kind of get into it. I'll just kind of do the same thing when I do it with you, and just kind of go through my whole progression here. So I started off basically just doing player movement. So we just have this little, guy just moving around in the world. So, just basically gathering input using Unity's new input system, writing that out to a data component, and then I have a system that just like basically reads that input and applies it to the player. So, fairly standard, but, a couple couple steps for setup there. So moving and grooving there. And then, so what I started doing after that was just kind of going into starting to build out the capabilities system a little bit. So basically you'll see here the first attack I decided to implement was kind of like a like projectile attack, where basically these projectiles are just kind of shooting out on a timer, basically. You see that these capabilities kind of have some different properties about them, so they'll kind of destroy themselves over time. So like after they're in the world for like, I think it was like 2.5 seconds in this video, you'll see that they'll disappear, and then also they'll disappear when they basically collide with the one of the players here. But I kind of made it a little bit modular. So for example, here's kind of like, say if you wanted to upgrade this ability, it can basically hit 2 enemies. So it kind of hits the first one, it passes through that one, and then it collides with the second one. So there's kind of, it kind of keeps track of, how many enemies it hit and all that. And again, I think this is just going to be really helpful for the whole kind of modular data-oriented design, having these kind of building blocks I can add in, because now that I have this feature implemented for this capability type, I can add this to any other capability down the line that I want to. So that's definitely kind of a nice thing to have. So, and then this morning, started kind of working on the basic damage system, where we can damage the different enemies. You see that right here. They basically take 2 hits of this projectile, and then they destroy themselves, and then they spawn a coin in place. So these are the kind of coins that you'll end up picking up. Right now, I just have every enemy just spawn a coin. I do have kind of like a field exposed for a drop rate, but I haven't actually implemented that yet. That probably will end up being a little bit more of a stretch goal, I think. But I mean,
that's actually something that I struggled with today, was RNG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not really too difficult, but if you want to do it right, then pretty much like each entity kind of has to have their own like random number generator associated with it.
That's exactly what I had to do.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay.
yeah, it's not thread safe to do RNG calls. Yeah.
And so we have that, and then let's see. So then after that, I added in a little bit of the player UI, so you can see that, as the player basically collides with any of the enemies, then they're going to go ahead and you see that their health starts decreasing. And then once, in this case, I don't really have any game over logic set up, so the player basically just disappears, and I start getting all these error messages in the console. So kind of a little bit in progress there.
I'm going to get those error messages soon.
Yep.
All my systems assume the player always exists.
Yeah, pretty much. Same here. So then, yeah, and then now I kind of added in sort of my enemy chase logic here. You can see that it's starting to turn into a little bit of a game, so the enemies are kind of now chasing the player. And we still do have the ability to kind of shoot them, and then when when they run out of health, they'll end up dropping the coins. But right now I can't pick up the coins. That was kind of the next thing that I was working on. I was hoping to have that kind of in place before the beginning of the stream here, but wasn't quite working. But so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's I mean, I got pretty much the basic logic in place. I'm a little bit behind you as far as the kind of gameplay loop, I guess. But I'm feeling good about the whole capabilities system that I've built out yet. I think it's going to be really flexible and easy to build off of going forward when I start to add more content, add more capabilities that the player can do and all that.
Yeah, I think we've both been really neck and neck. You'll send in a feature and then I'll get it half an hour after you. It's been a lot of fun.
No, it is kind of cool because we're basically doing like the same thing. That it's like you're like, oh, you're kind of doing this thing, and I'm like, oh, I need to kind of catch up, and yeah. So it's been fun to go back and forth in the Discord.
Yeah, we're both very in sync about the order in which we're doing features, which is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, I guess a couple small little issues that I ran into. So here's a fun one that I'll just show y'all. So if we enter play mode here, actually you probably aren't gonna see this that well, but anyways, I can just read it out. So you see in the console, I get this error message. It says entity graphics should be used with URP forward plus rendering. So we have to go change that, right? So that's just, pretty standard. We need to, change it to forward plus for the entity's graphics to get enabled here. So let me just see. I'll go to my graphics and my high fidelity renderer. Okay, great. We'll go ahead and change it from forward to forward plus here. Okay, great. And let's go ahead and enter play mode. And orthographic projection is not supported when using forward plus. Nice.
okay.
There's no winning Unity.
Interesting.
So I pretty much just have to stick with regular forward rendering and just deal with the console warnings every time I enter play mode that says entities graphics should be used with URP forward plus for best compatibility.
Do you know who needs compatibility?
Yeah, exactly.
I would probably do like a test build.
I have done a test build, and so it works. Cool. So that was like right after I saw that message, I'm like, can I build?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I was like, what am I gonna have to like put the camera way up in the sky and do like a really tight field of view?
Oh, yeah. Fake it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that turns from a warning to an error message an hour before the deadline. Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously. But yeah, no, I think that's gonna be all right.
Right now, your whole game's in 3D, right?
Yeah. So that was one thing that I wanted to talk about. Someone in the Discord did mention that they wanted to learn a little bit more about kind of how I was doing this. So yeah, the game is in 3D. So for those of you who can see my screen right now, basically you'll see that these are all just kind of spheres in the world here. Partial reason for that is the Unity's physics doesn't, or like the Unity dots physics doesn't have like a 2D physics. It's all 3D physics, which is fine. And then, yeah, I'm just using meshes right now just to basically do simple rendering. I think when I do get to the point where when I want to actually put sprites in, I'll probably just start with a quad mesh and then just apply a sprite to it at first. There is a package that I think I mentioned on the stream last night called NSprite that basically it's kind of a sprite rendering library, I guess, for ECS. I've never used it and don't really know how it's set up or anything, but it seems like a interesting thing to try out, especially if I'm doing kind of a pixel art style game. But yeah, so I mean that's kind of basically what I'm doing right now. That the game is essentially in 3D, and then I'll probably at some point move over to quads instead of these spheres, and then maybe I'll look into NSprite a little bit and see how difficult that would be to set up.
I know Unity has that nice 2D lighting. Are you going to be able to use that at all, or
I don't
dots yet?
Think I will be able to.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there is a lot of like good 2D lighting tools and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I don't think I can use it, unfortunately. And here's another good question from Wayne Games. How do you do the health bar? So the health bar is basically a world space UI element. It has a component on it, which is the follow player entity script here, and it just has a little XYZ offset. And then I can pull this up over here. And then, so let's look up the follow player entity. And we'll go ahead and zoom in on this here.
That is something we're completely missing in Bevy, is world space UI.
Yeah, that's what you were just saying.
I have to calculate it out every frame and move the positions.
Ooh. So yeah, basically, what I'm doing here is I have this follow player entity mono behavior. Basically just looks for the entity or like looks for the player entity, finds its position, and then just adds the offset to that player position to set the transform for that world space UI element. So that's kind of how I'm physically placing it in the world. And then as far as like actually updating the health bar itself, I have update player UI system. So this is a system base system, which is the public partial class, which we can use manage types with and all. Just doing a basic of the idiomatic for each here, doing an entity query, looking for basically looking for the player, and then from that I get its current hit points as well as its base hit points. And right now, this is probably not the best way to do it, but it's just super easy. Every single frame, I'm just invoking an event that updates the health bar with the current hit points and then the like base hit points. And then so I have is this one? Yeah. So then I have this mono behavior which sits on that UI element, which basically receives that event from the system, and then it gets the current health and maximum health and sets those values. So this basically supports, like, if the player were to get a health upgrade and it's, max health increased, then we could, adjust the slider accordingly.
Which that's exactly how I'm doing it too. I have my player component has a max health and a health, and the size of the UI or the size of the red rectangle is determined by dividing the two.
Gotcha. So, gotcha. Yeah. Well, Unity has a built-in UI component that I can just set the value on, so I don't have to do any crazy math of how many pixels and all this. So.
Oh no, it's percent based.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a division. We're not that primitive.
Fair.
I don't have the whole event system like you do.
And so what else? Is there anything interesting that I could talk about for now? I think those are kind of some of the, I don't know, this most of what I have right now. Again, I think the next kind of portion that I'm going to be implementing is the experience system, where basically you collect coins, and I think kind of my take on it is basically, like, as you feed these whatever creatures, they're going to basically drop money as like, payment or a tip or something like that. And then so you'll be able to kind of collect those, and then I'll have a experience bar that fills up at the top, and once that completes, then basically you'll get to the the upgrade selection screen. So I think that's where it starts to get real fun, where we start kind of adding in a little bit of the RNG of what kinds of things you can upgrade and all that.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Vampire Survivor had a lot of content.
Yeah.
Every time I played, I was seeing different upgrades.
Yeah.
I don't know at what point do we swap over to just shoveling out content and different upgrades, But
yeah,
we'll I think when we get there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like that's why I wanted to make the capabilities of the player very modular, is just so, like, when I do get to the point where I can add new things in, maybe there might be like a base thing that I might need to add in, but I can add a lot of existing functionality that I've already built out onto that new base thing.
So I think I'm hoping that my design is good and I'm able to like double the number of whips and it all just work. Only time will tell.
Exactly. And yeah, I do see someone has a request to change the attack so it's not in the movement direction, so you can still run away and kill enemies. So yeah, that's going to be kind of part of the different attacks. Is like there's some that are like they'll attack in the direction that you're facing, and some will just always attack in the same direction or a random direction. So it's just depending on whatever kind of base attacks you have equipped, they'll do different things. So but yeah, I'll definitely be adding more things like that. And so yeah, you can't, just to answer Tech Dave's question here, you can't use Unity's built-in nav mesh just quite yet with ECS. There are some third-party solutions available, but yeah.
I'm hoping to get away without needing to do any pathfinding or AI.
Yeah, I think I
That's some nice
should be
thresholds.
okay, because I mean, even if you look at like the base game of Vampire Survivors, there's just like, little, like a, like a tree here or there, and like I think with the physics system that I have in place, at least, and probably the same for yours, they'll just kind of, bounce off it and go around, and that's, just fine for
Yeah.
the gameplay.
Yeah, they'll just kind of push around it. But if they hit a straight wall, they'll mindlessly try to push through it to get to you. Yeah. So we'll have to get through it with level design, I guess.
Indeed, indeed. All right, well, I think that's about all I got for this little check-in stream. You got anything else you want to mention before we head out?
I gotta get back to writing UI.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to get back after it. I think I'm gonna take a quick little break here. Maybe go do a quick little workout and eat some food and get back at it. But
I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go on a walk and then eat lunch.
Smart. Always good to get a little midday recharge in.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thank you everyone in chat for joining us here today. Again, feel free to come hang out in the Turbo Mace Games Discord. You can get to there at the website tmg.dev/discord. It'll bring you right to our Discord, and we'll be continually posting in real time kind of our progress updates. We've just been posting a bunch of videos there, so if you do want to follow along, we'll have that. I've posted my GitHub in there, and Matthew, once you get yours set up, you said you're going to post yours in there as well. Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm having a bunch of fun so far, and I guess you want to do another check-in stream tomorrow, probably around the same time?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. Sounds good to me. Well, I'll go ahead and schedule it. Yeah, let me just go ahead and drop a quick link to the Discord here one more time.
When is the jam over? Is it Monday night at?
Yeah, Monday night. So it's Monday night at 6 p.m. is when it kind of soft ends, and then there's like a 1 hour submission window, and so so it's basically 7 p.m. Pacific is the cutoff.
Sure.
So yeah,
cool.
the final cutoff.
Cool. Assuming the website doesn't crash or
exactly. Yeah.
Whatever.
So that's why it's good to get your I'd recommend you probably should go onto the jam page and like set up a placeholder game thing. Yeah, I'll probably should do that as well. So do that, and also go on itch and get a simple page thrown together, just so you kind of have something, and just so it's not you're not doing it all at the last minute.
Okay, so they don't host the game; it's a link to an itch
Correct.
page.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or anywhere else, but itch is the easiest. So
cool.
All right. Okay. Well, sounds good. Thanks again, everybody, and thank you, Matthew. And we'll be hanging out in the Discord, and see you back on stream tomorrow.
Cool.
See you later, everybody.